Clean-up efforts continue in Spain following deadly flash flooding in the Valencia region. The United States has accused Israel of not doing enough to address concerns over strikes on Gaza. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have made their final pitches to voters across the US swing states. Georgia's president has refused to appear before prosecutors in the country's election fraud probe. Clean-up efforts continue in Spain following devastating flash flooding which killed at least 95 people in the Valencia region. Cars have piled up on the streets and houses have been caked in mud as residents are left without basic supplies.
No disponemos de alimentos, lo que son suministros básicos. Sí que estamos ahora tenemos suministro eléctrico, pero no tenemos agua potable.
Todo el día, apenas hemos parado a comer ni nada. Desde las 3:30 de la noche que estamos en ello.
Crops have also been destroyed and many bridges and buildings swept away.
En principio aún se puede salvar, pero que ahora tiene mucha pena porque hay que quitar toda la suciedad y esperar a que se vaya el agua. Y a ver cómo resulta.
Madrid and Barcelona's football teams held a moment of silence before their training sessions on Wednesday, and Spain's government has declared 3 days of mourning for those who died in the floods, starting on Thursday.
As Spanish rescue services continue to deal with the devastating impact of flash floods, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has offered EU support.
The rescue teams are working tirelessly to bring as many as possible to safety, and Europe is ready to help. We have activated our Copernicus satellite system to help coordinate the rescue teams. And we have already offered to activate our civil protection mechanism.
Both King Felipe and Spain's Prime Minister also made public statements, offering condolences to the victims and their families. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, however, stressed that the episode was not over yet.
Por eso pido a quienes allí residen que extremen las precauciones, también todas las medidas de seguridad, que no salgan a la carretera, que eviten transitar cerca de barrancos, de vaguadas, de cauces y que atiendan en todo momento a las recomendaciones de los servicios de emergencia y, por supuesto, de las fuerzas y cuerpos de seguridad del Estado. En definitiva, que nadie ponga en riesgo su vida.
Dozens have died following Tuesday's floods, and storms are forecast to continue until Thursday.
The United States has accused Israel of not doing enough to answer international concerns over indiscriminate strikes on Gaza.
They are not doing enough to get us the answers that we have requested. There are significant questions that you all ask, that other countries have asked, that we believe Israel needs to answer publicly.
Miller went on to say that the situation surrounding humanitarian aid provided by Israel to civilians in Gaza is not at a level the US finds acceptable. Meanwhile, Israel's military chief says the Israel Defense Force needs to be larger as the war expands to different fronts. It comes as international mediators have launched a new push for negotiated ceasefires in Lebanon and Gaza, with senior White House officials scheduled to visit Israel on Thursday. Discussions surrounding a two-state solution to the crisis have also begun in Saudi Arabia, which is hosting the first meeting of a new global alliance to press for the establishment of a Palestinian state. US presidential candidates Kamala Harris and Donald Trump have made their way across several swing states as they continue appealing to voters with less than a week to go until the election. After being confronted by pro-Palestine protesters at all three of her events on Wednesday, Harris told voters in Wisconsin she is looking for common ground with people who disagree with her.
Unlike Donald Trump, I don't believe people who disagree with me are the enemy. He wants to put them in jail. I'll give them a seat at my table.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump has continued to seize on the controversial comments made by President Joe Biden on Tuesday, boarding a white garbage truck after his arrival in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Joe Biden should be ashamed of himself if he knows what he's even doing, and she should be ashamed because she shouldn't let him do it. She's the vice president, but I assume she's acting as the president. She should never have let that happen. I hope you enjoyed this garbage truck.
Both candidates made a campaign stop in North Carolina earlier in the day, and Kamala Harris also traveled to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where she urged voters to cast their ballots early. Georgia's president has refused to appear at the country's prosecutor's office after being summoned as part of a probe into alleged vote rigging in last weekend's election.
It's not up to the president to provide the proofs that exist in the society, the non-governmental organizations, the observers, and regular citizens have been providing huge amounts of proofs that are every day coming out and are showing more and more how large, how systemic, how massive was the rigging of the elections.
It comes as the European Union's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, has urged Georgian authorities to hold a transparent inquiry into the alleged irregularities, which he described as grave. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky has said Russia has won in Georgia, warning it will do the same in Moldova unless the West ends its rhetoric on crossing Moscow's red lines.
Volkswagen said significant cost cuts are urgently needed as the company reported a steep decline in third quarter earnings on Wednesday. Meanwhile, the car manufacturer faces angry employee representatives due to the possibility of plant closures in Germany.
Die Lage spitzt sich weiter zu. Die Entwicklung in der Automobilindustrie in Europa und besonders am Standort Deutschland betrachten wir mit Sorge. Das zeigen auch die jüngsten Meldungen unserer Wettbewerber. Das machen aber auch die rückläufigen Quartalsergebnisse der Marke Volkswagen Pkw deutlich.
The company reported net profit of 1.58 billion euros for the July-September period, which is a 64% decline from 4.35 billion euros a year earlier.
Wir werden heute der IG Metall in der zweiten Verhandlungsrunde unsere Vorstellungen unterbreiten. Wir brauchen jetzt gemeinsames und konsequentes Handeln, um eine tragfähige und nachhaltige Lösung zu finden, und zwar im Sinne unserer Belegschaft und unseres Unternehmens.
Volkswagen already terminated its job protection pledge that was in force since 1994. As new competitors entering European markets and the fundamental technologies of automobile industry are rapidly changing, Germany's position as a manufacturing location is deteriorating. European brands are facing increased competition, especially from inexpensive Chinese electric cars.
China filed a lawsuit against the European Union before the World Trade Organization over the steep tariffs the bloc has slapped on its electric vehicles. Brussels argues the electric vehicles benefit from excessive subsidies to retail at artificially low prices in global markets. The new duties come on top of an existing 10% levy and are being collected as of Wednesday, the 30th of October.
并加征高额关税是典型的贸易保护主义行为，将损害中欧的产业链、供应链合作，损害欧洲消费者的利益，损害欧盟绿色转型和全球应对气候变化的努力。
Designed by the European Commission to offset Beijing's financial aid and prevent EU firms from being pushed out of the lucrative electric vehicle sector, the trade measures will remain in place for 5 years.
我们希望欧方以建设性的态度与中方继续推进磋商，展现诚意和灵活性，寻求解决方案，避免贸易摩擦扩大升级。
China has previously threatened retaliation against the EU's dairy, brandy and pork industries, moves that Brussels has denied as unwarranted. The ministry stressed its willingness to continue negotiations with the Commission to achieve a solution as soon as possible that could reverse the tariffs.
Invest, invest, invest. This is what British Treasury Chief Rachel Reeves said the UK government plans to do as she announced her budget plans on Wednesday. She told lawmakers that taxes will rise by £40 billion to provide new funding for the UK's cash-starved public services, including its national health services.
More pounds in people's pockets. An NHS that is there when you need it. An economy that is growing, creating wealth and opportunity for all. Because that is the only way to improve living standards.
Reeves also stressed that so-called working people would not suffer from the tax hikes, but that employers' national insurance contributions would increase.
I say to working people, I will not increase your national insurance. I will not increase your VAT, and I will not increase your income tax.
This is the Labour Party's first budget since returning to power earlier this year after 14 years in opposition. Reeves claimed that higher taxes and limited public spending increases are needed to fix an economy that her party argues has been undermined by Britain's previous Conservative government.